Yes, guys, Happy New Year and welcome back to WM32Football Podcast. It's the first one of 2020, and this week we're talking all things to do with the FA Cup, which third round took place over the last couple of days. Wesley, first thing we're going to talk about is some of the underdog stories, some of the shocks. First thing we got to go to is Watford. 3-0 up.
Yeah.
Where did it go wrong from there?
Well, I mean, you're 3-0 up in any game. You think the job's pretty much done and dusted, and I think, from both sides really, Watford are probably thinking, yeah, this is game's over, game's done, and Tranmere are probably going, well, that's it, we've had a nice sort of day out at a Premier League club and things like that. Pressure was off, and then you've seen a massive switch in the game. I think there was a couple of VAR incidents in there as well, which I think may have or may not have gone Tranmere's way. I think there was maybe one that did and one that didn't. But yeah, I mean, incredible really from Tranmere to pull themselves together. Like I say, 3-0 down away at a Premier League club and get themselves a replay back at Tranmere, Prenton Park. I was there last year when Spurs were there, and it's a nice little ground. I think the comeback is being called Istanbul by the Tranmere fans and whatnot. But yeah, like I say, great little story, and I think as well towards the end of the game, Tranmere had a good chance and they could have easily won it in the end. Chance right at the end and things like that. From Watford's perspective, another game, probably something that they didn't really want, but still sort of expect Watford to get through, even if it is via a replay. But like I say, brilliant from Tranmere really to pull themselves together, because it could have easily been 5s and 6s.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So yeah, big credit to Tranmere.
You look at that as well. They'll go into a replay, and the Watford lads are knowing that Tranmere's got fight. So no matter how many they score, they'll always be thinking.
Yeah, definitely.
This
and I
could
think
go wrong.
the pitch probably won't be the greatest for the Watford players, so that might come into and play into Tranmere's hands a little bit. Little things. Change room's going to be a lot smaller. Like I say, the pitch, it's probably going to bobble up a little bit more than what the Watford guys are going to be used to. So it's going to be an interesting replay, and those ones especially are always banana skins for the bigger clubs. Premier League clubs going down to lower league opposition. So yeah, but like I say, it'll be an interesting one for sure.
Talking of small clubs, Middlesbrough were unlucky to draw against a small club this weekend.
They were. I'm glad I didn't make the trip up to the Riverside for that one, because Spurs, I don't know what is going on at the minute. Is it still early to judge Jose? Probably. It's not his team, it's not his players. However, you would still anticipate the fact that he's working with the players a lot on the training ground. I think I think we've only had one free week where we've not had a midweek game, and that was in the lead up to the Chelsea game where we didn't turn up. But you're working with the guys on a regular basis. You would like to think that you can address some of the issues that are happening, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So it's a little bit concerning for me as a Tottenham fan that things aren't going the way I want them to.
People say it's too early, but he's been there
couple of months now.
Now. You'd have thought he would have nailed a lot of things down, sort of got the way they're playing. But you look at it, you haven't been spectacular since him coming in.
No,
so
I
wasn't surprised. I put you down to lose 2-0.
Well, I don't think anybody was expecting Jose to come in and we're going to play this free-flowing, expansive, open, attacking football and whatnot. I think going forward, in most games, apart from probably the last sort of 2 or 3, we've looked like we can go and score at any given opportunity. Defensively, we look like we're going to concede every time the opposition come forward. And everybody's sort of going, well, this isn't like a Jose Mourinho team or anything like that, which history would suggest it's not. But one thing Jose can't legislate for is individual errors, and yet again, it's individual errors that are costing us at the minute. So, you know, if I look at the Norwich game, especially in the Premier League, Vertonghen for Pukki's goal that got ruled out by VAR. I don't know what Vertonghen's doing. I don't know what Aurier's doing for the own goal. I don't know what Alderweireld's doing for a couple of the goals anyway.
Signing a new contract.
Yeah, I know, trebled his wages as well, did he? But yeah, I think, you know, another game, we're still in the hat. I think that's the only real positive I can take from the Middlesbrough game is we're still in the hat. Lo Celso looked bright when he come on. So, and Lamela gave us something else as well. But no Harry Kane, it's always going to be difficult.
But I would like to say Borough put up a fight, and
yeah, it was a scrappy game.
I thought they were going to win, and I still think you taking them back to your new home, it will be difficult for you, and I think they could sneak it.
It's, you know, in football anything can happen, but yeah, Borough made it scrappy. It probably suited them, the fact the game was scrappy. I know they've had a bit of an upturn in form recently of Borough, but I think by and large they've not been the greatest this season.
Yeah.
Despite the fact, like I said, they've had a bit of an upturn in form lately, and they've struggled a little bit. So yeah, like I said, it probably suited them that the game was a bit scrappy. Didn't suit us at all, really.
Other shocks from this weekend.
Has to be Rochdale and Newcastle, surely.
Yeah.
I think, you know, although saying that, Rochdale over the last sort of couple of years
they've been the side to get those results.
They've been quite good in the cups, really. If you look at, like, obviously a couple of years ago, you know, Spurs went there, scraped another draw, and you know we had to go for a replay to get past them. So you know they've taken on Spurs and played really well in both of those games. You know, I think in the Carabao Cup this season they've gone to Man United and gave them a game, and you know by all accounts they gave Newcastle a really good game on Saturday and whatnot. And you know, like I say, they are a decent side, Rochdale. Keefield does get them playing, and I think, you know, I remember him saying that he had to relay the pitch for when Spurs come a couple of years ago because he wanted people to realise that they can actually play, and they're not just a sort of bog standard typical side lower down that just sort of punts it forward. You know, they do try and play and whatnot, and I think, you know, Rochdale players will probably enjoy the big occasions. You know, like I said, they did well at Wembley a couple of years ago. You know, like I said, they went to Old Trafford and gave United a game. So St James's Park is probably another one for them. It's another big stage for them to test themselves on and go and thrive on, really. And like I say, who knows? You know, I don't think the FA Cup is really high on Newcastle's sort of priority list. But then, given the way that they're going in the Premier League at the minute, doing quite well, they might sort of go for it. But again, another potential for a shock on the cards there.
See,
for sure.
I'm gonna make a bold statement. I'm going Rochdale to go through, Borough to go through, and Tranmere to go through. Out of the three shocks that we spoke about already, like them being draws in those games, and if they go through, like the players will want to go through because they will know the further they go, the bigger teams will go to them or they'll go to. And for a player like, I can't remember the lad's name, that played at Old Trafford, scored the free kick.
Luke Mattison, I think.
Yeah.
You
look at a player like him, all it needs is one of those games to be a breakout star in, and it could end up being a bigger move for him.
Yeah, definitely.
So they'll step it up. So that's why I'm going for those three to go through. I'm not sure what you think. I'm guessing you're going to back Spurs to go through.
I don't know, to be honest. Probably going to go to penalties or something, and then it's a lottery. I think Watford will go through. I think Watford will beat Tranmere. It's Nigel Pearson has just come in and is just. I think he's just treated everybody like men, really.
Yeah.
You know, we've heard Deeney come out and say, you know, for the first time in 8 years he's been treated like a man. And yeah, I can't see him letting the players get away with being drab at Tranmere. I just can't. If it's 0-0 at half time, he will go in and dig people out and whatnot. as for Rochdale, it'd be obviously be great if they got through. Great story, but Newcastle's quality may just shine through. But I think that game will be quite tight. I think that one will be quite tight because Newcastle's injury list is as long as your arm, basically. So Newcastle will just literally have to put out whoever's available. I don't think they've got much choice at the minute.
Boy at this rate.
Yeah, and it's probably quite a few 23 players or whatnot will probably play. So yeah, I think Newcastle might just have a little bit too much for Rochdale, but then again, who knows?
When you look at both of those clubs, they're both fighting for survival in the Prem, especially Watford.
Yeah.
So they might end up prioritising the Prem.
Yeah, potentially. Like you say, especially Watford. But I think even if Watford do make some changes, I think they've still got players there that can produce moments and things like that. But it will be difficult. I think if it was the other way around and they were going back to Vicarage Road, you'd probably back Watford a little bit more.
Yeah.
However, as I've mentioned before, with the conditions going to Tranmere, it's not going to be favourable for the Premier League side. So yeah, potential banana skin, but I think Watford will still go through.
Alright, should we move on to the bigger sides?
Go for it. I think with Liverpool's what age group was it? Under 15s or something?
Yeah, under 15s against Everton. And Everton still couldn't beat them.
That for me was a very, very interesting game, and I've had a lot of Everton fans hammer the players for it. On the balance of play, Everton were probably better. I don't think Liverpool making as many changes as they did probably didn't help, but Liverpool weren't at their usual sort of sharpness and their usual sharp selves. But Everton certainly had the better chances, and it takes a wonder goal from a younger player. But I think there were signs there from Everton that they could be dangerous, especially on the counter attack with the pace of Walcott and Richarlison, and Calvert-Lewin has got pace and can be a handful because he's quite a big guy, so he can certainly hold the ball up and whatnot. But I think I don't know if the Everton fans are being a bit harsh on the players, or is it just one of those things of we've gone to Anfield and not won again.
I think it's the fact of how strong their side was against Liverpool. You were going, you should be winning this game. Doesn't matter who it's against. But I think it was they go into Anfield, a place where they're notoriously bad. And I think that was in the back of the players' minds, because we've heard players speak about it. You go to certain grounds and you go, I'm going to score. Yeah. Or if you as a club go there and go, we're notoriously bad here. Yeah. This could go really wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
And then especially how weak Liverpool put outside you, they're going, if we lose, it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, like I say, I don't know if it's the fact that they've not only did they lose and go out of the cup, and Carlo Ancelotti's come in and said he wants to win trophies, so they're probably targeting the FA Cup and falling at the first hurdle. But I think it's also the fact that they have lost to their main rivals. Yeah. And probably the strength of Liverpool's team, like you say, they're probably looking at it going, we're favourites here, we should be beating them, and whatnot. But I think there's encouraging signs for Everton anyway with Ancelotti.
There definitely is, and it's the first time that they've had. So I always remember Everton as that nearly team with Spurs back in the day, where it was like, which one's going to break the top four? Yeah. And Spurs went like that, and Everton went like that. And I think the fans noticed it. Well, they obviously did, and I think that's part of their frustration as well. Yeah, and I think it was the outlay that Everton have, in terms of player recruitment. We spoke about it just before Christmas and New Year about the turnover and the level of player of turnover that they've had. But yeah, I still see something there from Everton anyway. But you're just watching that game, the Liverpool game, and the fact that they've gone through playing that level of, or that type of team that they put out and still managing to get a result, and you're looking at it going, they're just going to win the lot, aren't they? And it's really, really depressing to be honest. Because at this rate, Donald Trump's going to start World War III before we get there.
Please, Donald.
Let's move on to the game I was going to pick out first, which which was a City game, and Tom Pope going from 40 goals to 50 goals a season playing against John Stones.
Yeah. Tom Pope, what a guy, what a geezer. Yeah.
But ran out comfortable winners 4-1.
I mean, City could have put out their, they could have put out their under 15s and probably still beat Port Vale. The level of quality that City have got in their ranks is just ridiculous, and barring a lapse, you would say, in concentration from John Stones.
Yeah.
Against, ironically, Tom Pope. It was a good day all round for City, and you were looking at the draw and you go City Port Vale, easy enough for City, and by all accounts they've got another fairly favourable draw yet again in a cup competition.
You're one of those people, are you? City agenda.
Definitely not. But I think in the Champions League, I'm certainly getting bored of watching City and Shakhtar every year.
Yeah, well, I got bored of watching Arsenal, Bayern Munich, and Arsenal, Barca, so I'm happy. I'm happy with Olympiacos.
But like it's pretty straightforward for City, and good to see Foden getting not only getting a start but also getting a goal.
Well, that's the thing. He's playing a fair bit recently, so hopefully he can get a few more games under his belt before he gets dropped.
Well, I think Pep's come out and said that once David Silva leaves, Phil Foden's going to come in and take his place, and you're going to go, oh no, Pep's creating a monster.
You say that, you still got to compete with those like Gundogan, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Fernandinho, Rodri, for any starting midfield place.
Yeah, but to have but as a young player, to have that level of faith shown in you by probably one of the best managers in the world is a good thing, and it will help.
Iniesta, isn't he?
Yeah, which again will be good for not only City but for England as well moving forwards.
Just hope he's got a decent forward in front of him.
He should have.
Big Marcus Rashford up top. Talking of Marcus Rashford, Manchester United, how'd they get on this weekend, Wesley?
Well, they drew with Wolves and didn't get a shot off on target, so
Great battle of 7th versus 8th for this season.
Yeah, but I think again Wolves could probably do without the replay given the amount of games.
Yeah.
Speaking to a Wolves fan, one that we both know, he's tearing his hair out. To be honest,
I saw does anyone want a lifelong Wolves?
Yeah, he's tearing his hair out because he goes to sort of every Wolves game. I think he's done.
He's done home and away this season.
I think he's done the best part of 30 games already, and it's like another one. So he's annoyed with the ticket prices for it as well, because I think United are charging a bomb.
United do.
So and I don't think United needed another game either, given their squad. I know their squad's slightly bigger than Wolves, but they've got quite a few injuries.
It looks like Scott McSauce is out for the rest of the season. Their midfield, I'm going to say this now, I'm not a Scott McTominay fan. I think he's better than Harry Winks, but he's not much better.
He's definitely not better than Harry Winks.
He is.
Definitely not better than Harry Winks.
Definitely is, because he's actually a defensive midfielder. But then you look at it, even in the Arsenal game, I sat there with our mate Luke, who's a United fan, and just went, you could tell there was no midfield without Scott McTominay. Yeah,
I think McTominay's brought a physical presence to United's midfield, and somebody that, I hate this phrase even, but somebody who sort of cares. I'm not saying that the players don't care that are already in there at the minute, but
a lot of them are paid stupid amounts. Like Matt are paid stupid amounts. Matic is paid stupid amounts, and he can barely kick a ball now. Pereira, who's 25 and is still a young, promising player.
Listen, Jesse Lingard's still young.
Jesse Lingard is 27. His last goal involvement was December 2018 in the league, which was 4 goals and 2 assists in December alone. And that was against the likes of Arsenal and Everton.
Yeah, I think his last goal was Ole's first game, which was against Cardiff.
Yeah.
But I think...
And then you've got Pogba, who's now constantly injured and is definitely going to go, because if it's not his ankle, it's his foot. If it's not his foot, it's his back. If it's not that, he's ill. Yeah. You're looking at him going, he was your best player last season, the fans have hounded him, and he's sort of just gone, alright then.
Yeah. Literally, I think I don't think Pogba really wants to be at United. I think he's got his heart set on a move somewhere. It's just a case of where and the timing of
Also,
it.
Mino Raiola hasn't helped.
No. But yeah, I think with McTominay, especially in United's midfield, he just brings something that little bit different. He brings legs, energy, and things like that to United's midfield, and actually isn't that bad of a player. Is he a Manchester United typical midfielder? Probably not, but I think at the minute
He's going to have to be. But we're paying a disservice to Wolves right now because they were far the better side. It even had people on our favourite channel, Sky Sports News, saying Raul Jimenez is definitely going to United after a 0-0 draw.
He's definitely not going to Man United, that's for sure. But yeah, I think with Wolves, especially recently, they've had a massive upturn in form. I think they've got used to the Europa League, Premier League balance. I know we spoke earlier on in the season and said that might be a struggle for them, but I think they've coped so well. They've not had too many injuries, and it's certainly paying off for them. But I think Wolves recently they've played really, really well recently in a few games, but haven't always got the results. I mean, they absolutely murdered Tottenham. Absolutely murdered them, but didn't get the points at the end of it. Alright, they beat City and whatnot. Against Liverpool at Anfield, they played really, really well and whatnot, but again, didn't quite get the result. So I think.
Can I just say, VAR robbed them twice?
Yeah, definitely.
First of all, handball by Van Dijk, don't care what anyone says, it hits his hand. And VAR turn around again, he's too far away from the goal, he played the ball.
Well, they said it was inconclusive.
How can it be inconclusive? He punches the ball and then boots it forward. How is that inconclusive? The second one, for the offside for the Wolves goal, they point at his hand. Can't score your hand.
Yeah.
What's that about then? What's that about then?
Oh, it's VAR. It's another day. It's another day for VAR. Trust me. But yeah, no, I think Wolves will be
Wolves
alright.
will go through that tie.
I reckon they've got a decent chance this year, Wolves, personally.
We'll move on to the blue side of London in Chelsea. By the way, lovely kit for the game, the blue and yellow.
Yeah, pains me to say it, but it is a nice kit.
Yeah,
it is a nice kit.
It's nice. They need comfortable 2-0 win
over Forest. Fully expected Chelsea to go and get the result. Be interesting. I think everybody's interested to see what they do in the transfer window, especially now the fact they can sign players.
I don't think they're going to sign anyone personally, but we'll get onto that in the transfer special. It won't be 2 hours long this time.
But yeah, I think with Chelsea, they've got good quality in a lot of areas, so they can chop and change, and not much in terms of the way they play will change. They can take a Mount out and put Barkley in, or they can take Kovacic out, put Jorginho in, or these little.
Well, you say that when they played Arsenal a couple of weeks back, or 29th of December, when Jorginho wasn't on the pitch, they didn't look as comfortable on the ball. And then when he came on, he did change the game. Cheated, but changed the game. Cheated, but changed the game.
Yeah, Jorginho is a player that dictates the game, and I think that was Sarri's big reason in him buying him.
You're seeing what Jorginho's about now. Still don't know what Kovacic does.
Kovacic is a little bit similar, but doesn't. I think Jorginho, if I'm looking at it from say a coaching perspective, Jorginho's your magnet, and it's like get Jorginho on the ball as often as you just be a magnet, go and get on the ball and make things happen. I think Kovacic is slightly similar, but doesn't get on the ball as much. Really, he does. He gets on the ball a lot, but he does it slightly further up the
he's
pitch.
not an attacking midfielder because his finishing is poor.
Yeah.
His final third balls are not good enough. He's not a defensive midfielder.
He's just a central midfield player. They can
He's
be
just
produced.
there.
They can produce central midfield players now. It is a thing. They can't just produce defensive.
Yeah, I
midfielders,
get it. But
midfielders.
if you're saying Jorginho is the hub of that midfield, and you're taking him out, and Kovacic has then got to go in and be that hub, he's not that.
No, I think Lampard a
you
lot of
can
the
see
time
it.
is one. I think Kante and Jorginho as a 2, and then a Barkley or a Mount in front. And I think Chelsea have looked better balanced with that compared to what they did last season. They look a better balance and whatnot. But yeah, I think everybody saw the way that they played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and they were fantastic that day. As poor Tottenham were, Chelsea were excellent that day, and can't really rule them out of anything in terms of a conversation to be in, especially in the latter stages of any sort of competition. I fully expect them to get towards the latter stages of the FA Cup this year, and who knows, they might even go on to win it, which will annoy me.
Right, because they will be higher than you in FA Cup trophies.
No, I just don't like Chelsea Football Club really. So.
Hurts you, doesn't it?
It does. I hate him.
Let's talk about the right side and the red side of North London then.
Alright.
1-0, not comfortable at all.
Dominated by lower league opposition.
In the first half, yeah, Leeds were the better side.
How are you not conceding 15 shots in 45 minutes and conceding a massive line share of possession at home to a team in a division lower down than you?
Technically, on where we're placed, only 11 positions lower than us. Leeds came out of the blocks. They were fast. They were strong. We had Socrates at right back. And we had David Luiz playing. We had Xhaka playing, and Martinez in goal, who for the last 2 years have been saying he's the best goalkeeper at Arsenal.
Not even been the best goalkeeper at the loan clubs he's been at.
Exactly. And it was just slow and sluggish from Arsenal to start with.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does. But then got in at half time, and Arteta he's clearly brought this sort of like, we're Arsenal, we're the Arsenal, we shouldn't be playing like this.
Well, Lacazette coming out saying he shouted a lot, and all the Arsenal fans are buzzing off it. I mean, It's twofold for me personally, because if your manager's going in and shouting a lot, it means you're not doing the business out on the pitch, first and foremost. But then actually, if he's shouting a lot as a player, you're really going to be taking a lot of it in, because you just think, oh, he's off, he's ranting and raving there.
Well, as you can tell, the shouting's worked.
Yeah.
Because against Chelsea, should have won that game. Robbed. It's a red card. He's on a yellow, pulls someone back. Second yellow, sent off. 2 minutes later, Maitland-Niles pulls someone back. Yellow card. Alright then. I won't use the language I used that night. It's not PG.
A referee once said to me that not every tackle and not every foul is a yellow card.
Yeah, but under the law, if you book 2 Arsenal players for pulling someone back, you've clearly got to book a Chelsea player for pulling someone back.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're aiming for consistency.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
It's like handball for Liverpool. It's not a handball, but if it's against any other club, it's handball.
VAR decision, give Liverpool what they want.
Yeah. United was stronger. We were just dominant. United couldn't get near us. We wanted it more.
Leeds United, I hope you're on about.
And then second half against Leeds, we were stronger. We wanted it more.
Yeah.
It's like he's sort of gone, this is what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Not what you were doing.
Yeah.
Even like against United and for 83 minutes against Chelsea, it looked like we had a defence. And that hasn't been seen for a while. First time against Leeds, we didn't have a defence, and he's gone in, blasted them, and they clearly need it because they've had under Wenger and under Unai, but it was just like, it's okay, you'll get through it, it'll be alright. Where if someone comes in and then goes, you're not doing it, I'm gonna blast you for it, you sit there and you go, oh, this is new, what do I do?
Yeah.
And then we actually managed to turn it around. We played a lot better in the second half. Like, as well as Arsenal played, Leeds should have been 2 up in the first half. They should have been sailing away with it. Great save by Martinez, the best keeper at Arsenal in the first half. Paddy Bamford, Don's legend, hit the bar. Like, they had a lot of chances. They were shooting from stupid positions at times as well. But they were the better side in the first half. But in the second half, you could tell the little bit of class that Arsenal had got us through. Scrappy goal by Reece Nelson, but Scrappy goals win your games.
They all count. They all count.
Exactly. I'm guessing you didn't watch the game.
I was out coaching last night, so I only come back quite late and caught the last sort of bits of it. And Leeds under Bielsa have impressed me anyway.
Yeah.
And the way that he's got them playing, and whatnot. But when I checked the stats, you know, especially the half-time ones, I couldn't believe sort of what I was seeing. And you know, I'm coming in and you know asking my dad like, what's the game been like? And he's gone, Leeds have been far the better team.
Yeah, they were.
You know,
First half, they
class.
were absolutely tremendous. Like, you sort of hold your hands up and go, they're a Premier League side in the making.
Yeah, although the thing is, we say this about Leeds a lot, and a lot of people say they are a Premier League club in waiting, and it's that every time they do get close, they usually fall off and whatnot. So, but I think, you know, Leeds with their infrastructure in terms of got, you know, fantastic training ground, which is on the Take Us Home documentary on Amazon Prime. You know, the stadium, you know, I've been there, and it's a fantastic stadium. It's, you know, the club has got a lot of history. The fan base, they sell out home and away no matter where they go. So all of that together is the making of a really, really good Premier League club. And hopefully, I think they're looking like they're going to get there this year. You know, get promoted and whatnot. So we will see, because there is a lot of football still to be played.
Still a lot of football to be played, but they could do it. And how they played in the first half last night, they could do a lot of damage next season.
Yeah.
Like, especially away from home. Should we move on to the draw?
Go ahead. Where are we starting with your lovely little trip down on the south coast of Bournemouth?
Yeah, lovely.
Happy?
Yeah, no.
Maybe.
Maybe. It depends. First game for Arteta was at Bournemouth. We played well, but we're notoriously not great at going down to Bournemouth. It's one of those grounds, it's tight, it's packed. Ryan Fraser thinks he's a good footballer once every 5 games. And Josh King will score.
if he's fit.
Yeah, it'll be the one game he's fit for. He will score. Could be tricky, but should go through. Talk about your boys and your replay before. Who have you got?
Southampton away, yet again, brilliant. The last time we went there, Danny Ings sent Alderweireld back to Ajax. So yeah, I don't think. Well, a lot of fans are going, oh, Southampton again, brilliant. I don't really fancy making that trip again, considering how awful we were on New Year's Day. I think some of the players were out with Hugo that on New Year's Eve with some of the performances. But listen, it's got to get past Middlesbrough first, get that job done, and then we'll worry about the next round if we get there. But another away day. Got to start turning up, really, Tottenham, because I think Jose won't stand for it, because he's got an elitist mentality, and I don't think many of the players have though at Spurs, and that's the key at the minute. So Southampton away could be better, hell of a lot better, but then again we could have drawn someone out of another sort of big 6 side, and they're the ones you want to avoid, really. So
avoid the later stages if you get that.
Yeah, can't really complain at all.
Talk about your favourite club and their favourable draws.
Oh,
City have got Fulham.
Yeah, at home. Yeah, again, favourable tie for City.
I had one of our friends yesterday who happens to be a Liverpool fan, who happens to think City have an agenda, and called that all of the football draws are rigged.
Well, if you look at City's cup draws that they have had in recent years,
you say that there's a lot of big clubs that have got easy draws.
Yeah, City being one of them.
Yeah, but a lot of big clubs like Liverpool, I don't remember that. Still in the past they've had easier draws. Chelsea, pretty favourable draw. Arsenal, pretty favourable draw. Like, you're going to get them because there's going to be lower league teams in the competition still.
Yeah, granted, but I think, you know, with Arsenal and Spurs especially, we've drawn Premier League clubs.
Yeah.
City have drawn yet again in a domestic cup competition, lower league opposition, and I think, barring the fact that United got through, they may have had lower league opposition in the Carabao Cup as well. So yeah, I think, listen, you still fully expect City to go through. How strong they'll put, their team will be, you can't really work that one out, but you still fully expect City to go through. Saying that, I think Mitrovic will cause the two centre backs problems.
They're not centre backs.
Especially if Laporte isn't fit by that time.
There's talks of him being back in training.
Yeah, he's back in
soon.
training. He's back in training. I've seen on his social
proper
media
full
and stuff.
training.
Yeah. But if he's not playing and it is Otamendi or Fernandinho at centre back, Mitrovic is gonna.
I'm worried
have
about
his eyes
City for
lined
the
up.
next couple of seasons, because there's big talks like Mahrez accidentally said Fernandinho is leaving, David Silva's leaving, Otamendi, and also 31. Aguero's 31. Jesus is talking about leaving. They're going to spend money to replace these players.
I think Jesus will stay. Fernandinho's in talks to sign a new contract. I know Cancelo's I'm in an whether he's going to stay or go, but then Kyle Walker's 29. It just depends on if Pep wants to stay for the rebuild. I think he'll be given more license to go ahead fully with a rebuild than, say,
any other person in
yeah,
the world.
yeah, realistically. So,
They could have a mini exodus this summer. If
potentially.
those players go like Fernandinho being 31, 32,
Fernandinho's mid-30s.
mid-30s, something I think he is. Aguero 31, David Silva's going anyway. Gundogan's a hospital patient. João Cancelo isn't sure. Like we're talking about, and you're going, they could lose a lot of players this summer.
Yeah, but when you're Man City, you can buy who you want as well, so that helps in terms of replacing them.
So much oil money the Americans are thinking of evading.
So, but yeah, no, like I said, I fully expect City to do the business against Fulham and get through to the next round, for sure.
United or Wolves will play.
I think it's either Tranmere or Watford.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. Especially if Tranmere beat Watford and then they get either Wolves or United at Prenton Park. To take them there would be very, very interesting. But as I mentioned earlier, expect Watford to get the job done, and we've tipped Wolves to beat United, which I think a few years ago, if anybody would have said that, you'd have probably been laughed out of any.
About 7 or 8 years ago, you'd been laughed out of.
Yeah.
Last couple of years, you could expect it, sort of thing.
But I mean, that's quite an interesting time, regardless of what sort of happens there. And obviously, both got replays and whatnot. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the replays and then what will happen with the ties. And that one's a little bit subjective, really.
Who Chelsea got?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't know who Liverpool have got either, which is really, really bad from me. So apologies in advance.
I'm ill, so I have an excuse.
But the one tie that I want to talk about, which is probably the most fascinating one out of the whole cup draw, is if Coventry beat Bristol Rovers.
Mate, imagine.
They get to host Birmingham City, but the game's being played at St Andrews because of the ground share.
That would be phenomenal. Like, just would. Like, what are Birmingham fans thinking? What are Coventry fans thinking?
Please let us know. But that is, like I say, probably the most interesting one out of, because we all know the problems that Coventry have had over the last few years with the Rico Arena and whatnot. And yet, still with all of that going on, a brilliant football club. Been fortunate enough to work for them as briefly. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Some really good people at that football club, You know, a lot of history. Obviously, they've won the FA Cup as well, which some of the older generation of Spurs fans won't thank me for reminding them because they beat us in the 80s and whatnot.
We didn't
but
beat you in the 80s.
Yeah, it's you don't realise the size of Coventry until you're sort of there. And I'm not saying I fully immerse myself within the football club, but you kind of realise like this is a big football club. It's Coventry City, and you know, over the last sort of few years with the players that they've had coming through their sort of system, you know, you've got Callum Wilson and Maddison and players like that have all come through, and things like that. So, but that is just one that's got my brain and my head fried at the minute.
It will be mental.
Yeah, like Birmingham fans having an away day, but at their home ground, which
it's the cheapest away day ever.
Yeah, it'll be the most familiar away day to Birmingham fans, because at least they'll know sort of where they're going and whatnot. Might be slightly different in terms of seating because they're used to sitting in different parts, and they'll just be in one sort of area of the ground. But yeah, imagine if Coventry do beat Bristol Rovers and then it's at St Andrews.
That would be mental. Big shout out to a club near us, Northampton, there in the fourth round.
Massive result, and against Burton Albion, obviously beating a team from a higher division. And you know, 4-2. It's not like they've scraped it. You know, I think they even went 3-0 up Northampton as well. So, and you know, I've got a decent tie in Derby at home. You know, Derby have been very inconsistent. I know they've just got Rooney in, who, you know, the quality he's showing in the Championship.
Don't get me started, because every news outlet and everyone on Instagram, 1 game, 1 assist for Wayne Rooney, he's amazing.
But no, Rooney's still showing his quality and whatnot. So, but you know, there's a tie. We talked about banana skins earlier and whatnot. There's opportunity for one there, especially. You know, all those things that we spoke about with Tranmere are going to be the same at Northampton, especially. It might even be even worse at Northampton because they're in League Two.
Yeah.
So yeah, Northampton certainly got an opportunity to make it through.
I was out with a couple of mates after football last night, and we have a thing where we have a couple of beverages and book something random. So we've gone to United versus Spurs Women's. We're trying to get tickets to Northampton Derby.
Brilliant.
Just go book it.
Brilliant.
But that would be a cracking game for them. Anything else you want to round up on?
Just the fact that for me, I know there's been a lot of talk of scrapping replays and things like that. But if you look at it, going back to the Rochdale Newcastle scenario, you know, Rochdale getting a replay, probably going to be on TV. You're looking at it as well, like the travelling fan base, they probably take a few because, you know, it's an opportunity for the Rochdale fans to go to a Premier League ground. They don't do it every week, and you know, that money that they will generate from that replay could keep the club going for at least a year.
Yeah. So I know how Arsenal used to do it. I'm not sure if they do it anymore, but if it was like a smaller club like League 1, League 2, if they got a replay or had a game at Arsenal in the cup, we're giving the majority of the ticket sales for that game.
Yeah.
So, especially if Newcastle do that as well, that will fund a club like Tranmere for a while. They can up their, like, whether it's the academy or the backroom staff or anything like that.
It might just be the running costs of the running costs of the football club, or you know,
but like
PFL might get a bit of extra in the transfer market.
Especially if they go through, the money they could get them to help with something in the back, like whether it's upgrading something or just keeping the running costs going, or
player recruitment might be, you know, I think the manager there might get a little bit of extra money to play with in the sort of few days that it might be, you know, between now and the end of January. So,
and you look at a game like that can really keep a club from, if they were in bad financial trouble, that could really keep them going.
Yeah, so I think a lot of football clubs lower down the pyramid are not the greatest in terms of their finances. You know, we've seen it with
Bury this season.
Yeah, I was just going to mention Bury.
Bolton as well.
Yeah, Bolton. Well, hopefully Bolton are coming out the other side of it now, but you know they've had a few years of trouble with their finances, so you know these cup replays, FA Cup replays anyway, should probably stay just for that particular. Like we've got to keep the lower league clubs surviving as much as we can. It's not all about the top 6 in the Premier League, or it's not just just the Premier League in general. It is the teams lower down the pyramid as well that need financial help, probably even more than the big guys in the Premier League for sure. So yeah, like I say, with the money that Rochdale could generate from that replay, it will keep them going. So yeah, for me, FA Cup replays are to stay.
They're all good for me as well. So that's all of it from us today. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also check us out on Spotify. We're now there where we upload the voice clips from this podcast. Thanks guys. See you later.